It's time for the Onyx News. Extraterrestrials, time anomalies, dimensions, remote viewing, UFOs, UAPs, and USOs, ghostly encounters, abductions, Bigfoot, and more. Your end of the week news source for everything unexplained. Here is your host for the Onyx News Podcast, Margie K.
Good evening, everyone. You are listening to the Onyx News as usual every Friday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Margie K, and welcome, because we have a really good show for you tonight, as I'm sure you already know. But I do want to mention a couple of things that are coming up. There are some excellent conferences this year. Not only our own XCon in October this year, October 11th to the 13th in Springfield, Missouri, at the Haunted Oasis Hotel. So you don't want to miss that one. But there are a number of other fantastic conferences. So go to unxnetwork.com and you'll see a list. We're compiling as many conferences as we can. There's already a really good list there, and good graphics, of course. So if you have a conference that you're putting on, please let us know about it, because we don't discriminate. We will put your conference there as, so that everybody knows where to go this year and then going into 2025. And then also 2025, we're going to have some surprises, but I'm not going to tell you about that yet. You're just going to have to wait. Make sure you do check out the Kansas UFO Day in Geneseo, Kansas in July. That's a big one coming up. And then, I'm just going to let you go look and see for yourself. So we've got a lot going on here at the X. We have not only 30 shows now that are on this network, 30, okay? But this month, we celebrated our 30th issue of Onyx Magazine. And you can get your free copy, digital copy, by going to unxnetwork.com and sign up. Just subscribe. With a free subscription or a paid subscription, you will get a digital copy of the magazine every month, plus every day a newsletter that tells you what shows are coming on that evening. So you can always keep abreast of what is going on here. Plus, we have a lot more going on as well. But tonight, I want to get to our guests. Marilyn Salas was born in Columbus, Ohio in December of 1943 and graduated from high school in 1961. She has no formal degrees other than her doctorate from the University of Life. Marilyn worked for the U.S. federal government for many years as a typist, secretary, and library assistant at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. She met her husband, Robert, there on August 1, 1969, and they were married 29 days later. They will be celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary this month. Marilyn is an energy healer, creator of spiritual myths, and paranormal and extraterrestrial experiencer. Welcome to the program, Marilyn.
Thank you, Margie. I really appreciate being here and being able to share this story, all my stories, with you and with so many others. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy life. You have a lot going on, but I'd like to go ahead and start from the beginning. When was your first paranormal or extraterrestrial experience?
Oh, okay. Just one correction. Our wedding date is in August.
August. Okay.
Yes.
I thought it said
August.
April. Sorry about that. Okay. But
okay.
It's this year.
Okay. It might mess things up as far as gift giving. So I just wanted to make it clear to Bob that it's
okay.
It's August.
Okay.
Anyway, the first paranormal experience that I can say honestly was very much unexplained was around 1985 when we lived in Manhattan Beach and had gone to bed that night. And we had a long hallway, and our daughter's bedroom was on the other side of this hallway. And where I slept on the bed, as I lay, I could see directly through the door that opened up into the room, and we always kept our doors open. So, for some reason, cannot explain it, I opened my eyes, and the entire hallway was filled with this grayish blue, misty, foggy light.
Wow.
And when I still think about it, the hair stands up on my arms. But I was afraid, but I didn't know what to do, and Bob was already asleep. We have two different stories on this, so we don't know for sure if it was the same occasion or if there were two different occasions. But anyway, I was the typical ostrich, and wanted to put my head in the sand. And so I just turned over and pulled the covers over, and either went out or went to sleep. But the next day, we never talked about it. I never shared that information with him. It wasn't until that was in about uh, 1985, and around 2008, we were in Ireland, Carrick-on-Shannon, and Bob was giving a presentation there about his UFO story, and somebody else was talking about an ET experience that they had, and that it was associated with a blue light. And
Hmm.
Bob looked at me and he said, "Do you remember a blue light?" And I said, "Yes, I do." That's when we started talking about it and comparing what we remembered. And then Bob had some hypnotic regression therapies after that time to help him retrieve memories. I never went into any kind of hypnotic regression on this subject matter. So that was the very first, but I will never forget that grayish blue light that just filled the hallway, and there was no explanation for it.
Well, that's amazing that you went so many years without discussing it with your
Yeah,
husband,
right.
but that is pretty typical of this type of event. People seem to have just a lack of memory right after. There's something blocking them, and then years later, something will
Yeah.
trigger the memory.
I truly think it's done on purpose,
Mhm.
maybe to blank that out for a while, maybe until we have more life experiences that wouldn't freak us out about it or drive us crazy and trying to
Uh-huh.
figure it out. So who knows what the agenda is? But yeah, it took about what 20 some years before we even spoke about it. Yeah.
Wow. Now, let's back up a little bit before that. Your time working at Wright-Patterson, what
Mhm.
did you do there?
I worked in the library there at the Air Force Institute of Technology, and
Mhm.
that's where I met my husband. He was there to complete his master's in engineering, and he arrived there just, I think in July of '69. That's when they landed on the moon. We'll never forget that one.
Oh, yeah.
And so I met him personally on the 1st of August, and I was walking through the library in my high heel shoes, and he uh, I caught his eye, I guess,
Mhm.
and we started talking, and so, he asked me out on a date, and that's how it all started. But it felt like we were meant to be together on a level other than just being in love, that it was something both of us feel this way, that it was sort of a directed thing, that we were meant to be together for me to support him in what he would eventually do, and
Mhm.
for him to support me in all the weirdness that I do, including healing work, which, I started that 30 years ago, and I was told I was a healer, and I don't want to jump around on subjects now, but yeah, it was Bob's a very left brain person, and I'm a very right brain person. So the
Mhm.
combination of the two, sometimes it may not seem like it works, but it has.
It does. It works. My husband is left brain and I'm right brain, so
Okay.
we kind of balance each other out.
Yeah,
I totally
exactly.
understand.
Right. Yeah.
Did the subject of UFOs ever come I mean, when did that first come up between you and your husband?
Okay. Um, well, that's really quite a question. You would think, I know that at this point, he signed a document saying that he would never speak about it. And he didn't. He didn't say a word to me about it for 25 years. It
Wow.
was in 1994 when we lived up in Seattle at the time in the Bellevue area. And he came home. He had gone to the University of Washington, the library there, and he loves books. And so he was just searching through the library for different books. And this one practically fell off the shelf, as he puts it. He opens it up to this page, 301, was it? And at the top of the page, there's an article there, or a paragraph that talks about a UFO shutdown at Malmstrom Air Force Base in 1967.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he thought that was his incident. And so because of that, I had a friend who did some hypnotherapy. And when he came home, she happened to be there. And so he talked a little bit about his trying to remember some of what took place at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very helpful. And Pam is actually the one who led him or told him about the organization called MUFON, the Mutual
Yes.
UFO Network. And I don't think Bob had any indication of what that was all about before all this happened. But yeah,
And
that's
I
how
see
it all
he's there
unfolded.
helping you with something right now.
Yeah, I think
Hi,
he's
Bob.
writing me a note.
Okay. Well, we'll just ignore Bob right now. Yeah, this is all about Marilyn tonight. Okay, so let's see what the note is.
He wants me to talk about my story and not his.
Okay, well,
okay.
Well, yeah.
It's integrated, to a certain extent.
Sure.
I need to talk about it too.
Yeah.
His story.
So let's get into some of the strange things that have happened to you when, kind of from the beginning, if you could just take us through that.
Okay, I think some of the stranger things that happened was we moved to Indonesia after the 1985 thing in Manhattan Beach, where we saw that light. The next thing, Bob takes a job as a aircraft. What do you call it? Engineering. They were trying to certify an aircraft in Indonesia. And so he worked for the FAA at the time. And so he accepted a job to go over there for a couple of years. And I was not happy about that. Number one, strange country, strange customs, strange language. And so I wasn't really crazy about it. But about that time, I was starting to get interested in things like meditation and things like that. And I grew up Catholic, but I left the church when I was in my late teens. So from that point on, I really didn't have any commitment to any belief system. But I started reading Edgar Cayce books, and his telling everybody in his books that meditation was the path to enlightenment. And I just felt like that was something that I needed to embrace and study more. And so one of the first things I did, I went to a seance because I was trying to find out some information, perhaps about some family things that were going on. And the man's name was Brian. He was in North Hollywood. And so I found out about him. Somebody referred him to me. And so I took a trip up there and sat in his home along with about maybe 20 other people. And the you want me to talk about these marks on my...
I don't know how that happened because I didn't put it up there. And let me go to my other page here and take that off.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're jumping ahead here. The spirits are jumping ahead. They're saying, talk about that. Okay, so continue.
Okay. So during the break, this man was incredibly accurate when he would just say things that people in the room would identify with. And so during the break, I remember asking the lady next to me or telling her, I said, I am in awe of this man's abilities and his talents to be able to delve into things that are like that. And she said, oh, that's no problem. That's easy. You can take a Psychic 101 class and learn how to do that. And it's like, what? I never heard that before in my life. So she gave me the information of a lady who had classes in Psychic Development 101 in Riverside. So I set up, time to go do that. And at the first class, the lady asked everybody to bring a pendulum. And so it's like, okay, where do I get one of those? And
Mhm.
and then I figured out that a metaphysical store might have one. So I went into the Psychic Eye bookstore in Redondo Beach. And when I walked in, I saw a display of wood pendulums, and I picked one up, and it just sat there. It's no big deal, and it's like, what's this all about anyway? So the lady at the store said, may I help you? And I said, well, I need a pendulum for a class. And I said, do you have anything else? And she said, I have some crystal ones over here in the case. So she walked across the room, and I followed her, and she picked a crystal pendulum up from the case. And as she's handing it to me, her phone rings. And so she turned around to go back to get the phone, and I've got the pendulum in my hand, and it took off like a helicopter blade. I didn't even ask it a question. It was like, finally, we're connected here. And my
Mhm.
spirit guides were so excited about it. So I bought the pendulum, took it home, and started working with it and sat in meditation with it. And so in one evening, not too long after I purchased the pendulum, I'm sitting there in a chair, and I'm going into a meditative state. And all of a sudden, since I had it in my right hand, I started feeling like sensations on my left side. Not really a paralysis, but definitely nervy things up and down my arm and my leg on my left. And as that happened, the pendulum in my right hand stood out like it was welded together, like a pencil. It was just sticking straight out. And
Wow.
it's like nobody else was at home with me. Bob was already over in Indonesia at that time because I stayed behind trying to sell the house or rent it
Mhm.
out, whatever came first. But he had to start his job. Rob had to start school. So here I am. I've got this pendulum that's sticking straight out like that. And so then I would put it down, and it would just free fall. It would go into a natural fall position. And I thought, oh, that's creepy. And so I'd pick it up
Yeah.
again, and it would stick out again like that. And that went on through the night. That was in the evening, and it went on through the night. And I kept laying it down on the pillow and then picking it up again. And I just couldn't figure out. And I thought something really super bad, weird was going on. So I decided, having grown up Catholic, that I would take it to the Catholic Church and dip it in holy water. So that's what I did the next morning. It was
Okay.
still doing it the next morning. So I go to the church, dipped it in the holy water, went over to the pews and, said some prayers, and then went home. And it never did it again. It never, ever stood out like that. I
What do you think
wish
that was?
I think what happened, and I found out in later times, that I had a Kundalini opening. For
Mm,
those who are not familiar with that, in the chakra system at that
yeah.
base root chakra, things can open up for people and amazing things can happen. And
Mhm.
so that to me was the energy around what happened because I know as a healer that energy moves from the left and out the right. That's the movement of energy. And I had the pendulum in my right hand. And so when that energy was flowing out my hand, my fingers, it was affecting what I had in my hand. And that was the pendulum. And
Yeah.
that was an amazing experience. So,
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, I wish I could do it for you. I wish I could do the display,
Do
but
you have a pendulum there with you now? You can show us.
no, no, I don't. But I'll tell you what really, I mean, I know I didn't write it in my story to you, but I bought a Ouija board because I was asking this pendulum a lot of questions, yes and no type stuff, and trying to figure out what it was trying to tell me. And so I bought a Ouija board, not to move it around, but I use it for the alphabetical lineup and the number system so that
Mhm.
the pendulum could go and circle and spell things out to me or give me numbers of things. And so that was, a medium that
Mhm.
worked well for me. And so in the process of asking questions, and the pendulum was, spelling out different words by circling different letters and numbers and things. And so at one point I asked a question, And the answer was no. But instead of going to the no part on the board, because it had a yes and a no, instead of going over and circling the no, it wrote it out. It went like this, and then it did a circle.
Oh,
And
that's very unusual.
I said, oh my God, again, And so I thought, I'm going to go through the alphabet just thinking the letter, and the pendulum would draw cursively the outlines of that letter so that, I would be familiar with how it would go. So it still does that to this day.
Wow. Well,
That
that would be a
didn't go
lot
away.
faster.
Pardon me?
That would be a lot faster.
Yeah, it's a lot faster. And
Mhm.
then I learned over a period of time, I don't ask the pendulum questions that have to do with my emotional feelings about things like, does he love me or doesn't he love me, or what does she think, or whatever. I use it for things like, is this supplement good for me today? Or,
Mhm.
I'll ask just general questions, because anytime I realized after a while that if you ask a question and you already have an emotional attachment to that answer, it's going to give you that answer. So best to stay away
Yeah.
from asking, things that you want to hear, what you think you want to hear. So
Just the facts, ma'am, right?
yeah, just the
Yeah.
facts.
Okay. That does work better.
I, yeah, and it is my gift, and I decided
Mhm.
early on that everybody has their gifts that they have in this lifetime, and it's up to them to finally find out what they're all about, and to use them to the best advantage, not only for yourself but for others. And so I ended up also using the pendulum in doing healing work,
Okay.
because the pendulum would zero in on a particular area where people were having pain or a problem, discomfort of some kind, and then the pendulum would do a really fast swirling thing to basically take the energy out. And so I know that, in doing healing work, that backward spins, it's like unwinding something or taking the bottle cap off. It loosens up the energy and frees it up. And then when you put energy in, you do it in a clockwise fashion. So counterclockwise is taking energy out, clockwise is
Mhm.
putting energy in. So yeah. And it was really great to use it in doing healing work.
Do you use the pendulum to balance chakras?
You can do that. Yeah, I can't say I'm not doing energy work these days on clients. When I started my business with my blessing spray, aromatherapy, I had taken on so much. I thought something's got to give here. I don't have time for all this, plus doing dishes and cooking, and tending to the garden. And so it's
Right.
like, what's going to have to go? And I decided that the aromatherapy sprays would help so many other people rather than doing a one-on-one energy healing session with one
Mhm.
person. So I had to make a choice, and it was tough, but I still do it. It's like riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to do energy work, it's with you. You don't forget how to do it. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
still work on friends and family to this day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you use the pendulum, who do you or what is answering you and what is controlling the pendulum?
Well, I would say it's my guides. I can direct it if I ask it to do something like, unwind energy or something to that effect. But for the most
Mhm.
part, it's something, someone, whatever on, the spirit side of things. And
Mhm.
I try not to get too much involved with controlling it, because that defeats the purpose, because I don't always know what's best on a human level, but truly spirit does. Spirit knows best.
Okay.
So I trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are unfortunately already up on a break. We're going to take
Oh,
about 3 minutes here and we'll be right back with
okay.
Marilyn Salas.
Thank you. Okay. See you soon.
Hey, UFO conference enthusiasts. We've got another great event for you in 2024. The Saucers and Aliens Kansas UFO Day in Dimension G is being held in the UFO capital of Kansas Geneseo on July 6th. This is a fun festival in the middle of nowhere. There will be a parade, decorated yards, costumes, vendors, speakers, and a showing of the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still. Appropriately, an 8-foot-tall statue of Gort and a statue of Plateau will be dedicated. This will be the only museum in the U.S. with these custom-made statues. If you'd like to donate to the statue project or attend the event, visit GeneseoMuseum.com. That's GENESEO Museum.com. Be sure to bring your camera when you attend the event. That's GeneseoMuseum.com.
The Onyx Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Onyx Network website at onyxnetwork.com. That's onyxnetwork.com.
And we're back with Onyx News. I'm your host, Margie Kay, and my guest this evening is Marilyn Salas. And Marilyn, before the break, you mentioned the mists that you make, and I have one right here that you sent me.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, this smells wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Tell us, how did this come about? How did you start doing this?
Okay, so I was doing energy work, healing sessions here in our home. We had our extra bedroom set up as a healing room with a massage table in it. So in the process of all that, it's one of these things that spirit, gives me. I don't hear voices. I just get like downloads of thoughts type thing,
Okay.
And so the thought came in that I should use aromatherapy before and after the energy healing sessions. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll look around for something. And the thing was, no, we want you to formulate one with us involved.
Wow.
And so with the pendulum, they had me get a list of essential oils, a listing, and they would go through and they would circle which essential oil they wanted in it. And then they would tick off with so many, like how many drops would go in for that particular oil into the blend.
Oh,
So there were 26 essential oils in the Love's Blessing blend. And the water that I use is a water tank, a glass tank that is filled at the bottom with crystals and stones. So not only is it the
wow.
aromatherapy part of it, it is the vibration and the energy of all those crystals and stones that is in every bottle that is made with love. There's no question about it. And for that, I am so thankful that Spirit came through and guided me through that formulation to bring together for people. And I've been making it now since about 2009. So, and I have a website called lovesblessing.com where people can order it. And I sell it in stores here in the local area. And there's some amazing, on my website, people talk about how they've used it and how it benefits them. And that just warms my heart so much to know that something like that has brought so much benefit and joy and relaxation. And people spray it on their pillows at night, and they even spray it in their dryer to get their clothes to smell. It's like,
Oh, yeah. I haven't tried that.
some amazing things. Yeah, but thank you for
Well,
asking.
I can tell you that since I've had this, it makes me feel very uplifted when I
Thank you.
just spray a little bit on me, and then I'm smelling it for quite some time
Right,
afterwards.
right.
And just kind of clears my head, clears the room of any negative energy,
Right.
and you're good to go. It's like getting a fresh start.
It's yeah, thank you. And I hear that a lot from people, and that they people who do counseling sessions use
Mhm.
it to help clear the energy of the room. They have, used it in some, and healers use it, again, before and after healing sessions, energy healing sessions. People keep it in their car. It relaxes a lot of people, but yet it uplifts people. So it's a
Yeah.
combination of relaxation, but being uplifted.
Oh, it really is.
So thank you
I
so
can
much.
attest. I've tested it. Yes, it actually works.
And I
Um,
I use it daily myself, only I made another one. It's called Love's Essence, and it's not on my website, but it's the same formula as the Love's Blessing, only it has one more essential oil in it, and it's called Plumeria. And if you
hmm.
have any idea what Plumeria, to me,
Oh, I
it
don't.
takes it yet to another level. And so I use it daily. I do not miss, just spraying myself and over my head with that. And so thank
Mhm.
you again. Yeah.
Oh, I can see how massage therapists and healers could really use this
Right.
because, well, obviously the client would be affected in a positive way.
Right.
Whoever is needing this healing, and I can just see how it would make things more amplified.
Yes, and it's also, because during energy healing sessions, a lot of negative energy gets released.
Hmm.
And so I worked a lot with crystals and stones, as well as the aromatherapy, the Love's Blessing spray. I would spray people before and after, but they would also have crystals and stones on their chakra areas and around them. And I would have them hold selenite pieces in their hand. And selenite is one amazing crystal stone, whatever you want to call it. It is a healer that if I had to go to a desert island and only take one stone with me, it's
Hmm.
selenite. And my husband uses it. He uses it, and it's effective for his eye strain because he reads so much, and aches and pains. It's just an amazing gift that the planet has that I'm not sure a lot of people know about.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. I've
Oh,
got several sitting
do
around
you?
the house. Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah,
Yeah, it really,
I
I mean,
love it.
its job is to
Mhm.
cleanse energy, and it really doesn't need any other cleansing, like a lot of other crystals and stones absorb those negative energies from
Mhm.
the people that handle them. But the job of the selenite is to cleanse that energy, and so it does its own job. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, we've got Becky in the chat. She said she lost her smell because of COVID 4 years ago. Do you think that would help with something like that? Do you think aromatherapy would help?
Absolutely. It's very this
Mm.
is very coincidental that this question comes up, because a friend of mine just was diagnosed, had COVID, lost her sense of taste and smell. I mean, we're
Ooh.
talking about in the last week here. I did some research online. I'm a great researcher about natural healing, medicinals and foods and the whole bit. And what I came across, if she Googles um, the words of COVID related um, loss of hearing or loss of smell and taste, and then after it put the words nutrient deficiency, and you will see a listing of report after report. And one thing that they talked a lot about was zinc helping as well as aromatherapy. And there is a report in there that really tells you, I think there's about, it's a kind of an education training course about using aromatherapy at certain ones twice a day for 6 weeks. And my friend told me that she started doing that, and even after just in a matter of days, she felt things improving. So I should share that with you, and I hope it works for you. But yes, if you Google those words about COVID related loss of smell and taste, and then afterwards put the words nutrient deficiencies, and it will tell you what your body is lacking and what it needs to get you back on track.
Oh gosh, that is good to know, because I know
Yeah.
several people who have had that happen,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's awful. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so please try that. Let's and let us know what happens with
Yes.
that.
Right.
Let's we're going to run out of time before we get to this. So I want
I
to make
know.
sure we get to some of the pictures that you sent me. I'm
Okay.
just going to pop them up and let you explain what we're looking at.
I know. Oh, that was an experience. I had gone to a meditation a friend was having about Ukraine a couple years ago. It was May of 2022. And after I come home, it was just a matter of 2 or 3 days later. All of a sudden, I get these marks on my arm, and my hair standing up on my arm, and it's all prickly and kind of didn't look like the hair on my arm usually looks. It usually lays down and it's smooth. This had a toughness about it, a prickliness that took a while for that to go away. But it was, I don't know if it was an energy that I was dealing with at the time, but I had no other explanation about what would make my hair do that, as well as all the marks. And there's a combination of marks that looked like it was prickly, or somebody had stabbed me with something. And then there were marks that were long finger type, but nothing was bleeding. It was just these. There's the one you can see. That's the one view of right after it happened. And then I have a picture of another view. This was a year and a half later about.
Oh.
And those marks would still be there from time to time, not all the time. And I never knew exactly why in the morning after I get up, why all of a sudden I look at my arm, and Bobby could see it from across the room. And he said, like, oh my gosh, those marks are back. So again, there was no itching about it. There was no blood. There was no cut. It was just, this raised mark stuff, but that stuff was ugly. That stuff was really all those marks. And this happened all at the same time, on my arm. So the inside of the arm had these, marks on it. Almost, when I looked at it, I thought, that kind of looks like Charlie Brown to me, kind of the outline of the head and the body type thing. But anyway, and then when I turned my arm to the side, you could see those long raised, I don't even want to call them scratch marks, because there was no scratching per se. It was just raised marks on my arm. Yeah.
Yeah, they look like welts.
Welts. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's crazy. And the fact that they would come and go over such a long period of time.
Yeah.
And over, it was about a year and a half later that other photograph was taken.
Yeah. Do you still have them?
From time to time, yeah. It's not as prominent as it used to be. So we're coming up to almost 2 years now since it all happened in May. So, I guess I'm healing. I don't know what it was all about. But
what is this?
That I can't explain either. That happened, I believe, around the same time, and I don't know what caused it. It just showed up on my skin, and from time to time, I would have other things like the night that I had a visitation from what I call the tall white, who came and took me through what I would call either the wall or a portal or a dimension. I don't know exactly what it was. It was in dream state. And then when I woke up the next morning, I have a hard time remembering all my dreams, but I didn't forget about that one. And so I got up and um, I told my husband about it. In the meantime, I realized, I think it was about 2 days later, that I was sort of scratching the top of my head and every hair hurt on my head. And I felt a bump up there. And so I went over to Bob and I said, "Would you just please touch the top of my head and tell me what you think?" And he didn't know about the bump at that time. And he did. And he said, "There's a bump up there." And I said, "Yeah, there's a bump up there. And my hair hurts to move it." So I know something, it wasn't just a dream, something really did
Yeah.
happen. But for me, I felt the love of this. It was the face, it wasn't the full body that I saw in my dream. It was powder white skin, no hair, but it was a very loving presence. And so I never had any fear around what happened. But in the process of being taken either through the dimension or the wall or whatever it was, there was this scattering of light that coming from the center, and it would just go out like this, and it was all in white and silvery types. So I could see it bursting out like a sun ray almost, you know.
Hmm.
And so whatever that was all about made me think that it was either a dimension or a portal or something like that,
Hmm.
to give me that kind of an impression. But at that time, I also saw on my body triangular puncture marks on my wrist. And that has happened from time to time. And I get bruises from time to time that I can't explain. But definitely the puncture on the wrist area here on my right wrist, and then some up here. And excuse me, that I think that's their way of letting us know that we've been visited and that it's real. Yeah. And then the other time, the one thing I do want to talk about is that was in 2014 that happened with the tall white. And then in about 2016, I went to bed and Bob was already, he goes to sleep fast. So he was asleep. And I heard a loud noise in the room, and it sounded like that horn that you hear at a basketball game when they're taking a break. It was very loud, and I wasn't asleep. I just had my eyes closed, trying to go to sleep. And I popped my eyes open, and in front of me, no more than 2 to 3 feet away from me, was this holographic lighted symbol. And it was arcs. It was an arc of light, and then black, an arc of light, black, and then like a bullseye type thing down at the bottom. There you go. That's what I drew that next day after that happened. And I shared it with Bobby. What's that? 2016. Yeah, April. April seems to be a happening month for me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it does.
Yeah, it really does. So at that point, the Bobby went to work that day. He was teaching at the time. And when he came home, and he said, "Did you figure out what it was, the symbol?" And I said, "No, it's so familiar." Well, yeah. And so finally he said to me, "It's the Wi-Fi symbol." I said, "Oh my God, you're right. It's the Wi-Fi symbol." So the meaning that I gathered from that was about communication, that they were in communication. And if I had any doubts in my mind that they were in communication with me over all these years and things that have happened, that was very clear to me. That was not a dream state. That was
Hmm.
for real. And yeah, they're in communication. Yeah.
So this the communications that you have, obviously you're having things happen in a dream state. Do you
Mhm.
think that you're astral traveling at all?
You know, it's funny you asked that. I had one experience where I felt myself coming back into my body through my crown chakra.
Uh-huh.
I only experienced that once, and that was earlier on. And it was around the same time that I had this incident of hearing sounds, tones in my head. Bob had gone to work that day. And so I was in bed trying to think, well, should I get up? Should I not get up? And all of a sudden I heard this da 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 da. And it's like, is that somebody's cell phone? What is that? And then within a few seconds, 10, 15 seconds, something like that, I heard it again. And not only did I hear it, the same sequence, da 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 da, I felt the vibration of it in my head.
Uh-huh.
It did it one more time, same sequence, vibration in the head, and never did it again. So, yeah, there.
What do you think that was? A download?
Could have been, and Bob seems to think that maybe my healing abilities are a result of, ET giving that gift to me or facilitating that gift. Whether or not, I don't know. I always felt like, I was told by, when we lived in Jakarta, Indonesia, the yoga teacher that I made friends with over there, I had a visit session with him one day at his ashram, and he told me that his guidance wanted me to know that I was a healer, and I had been a healer for many lifetimes. And I didn't doubt it. It felt right to me, but I didn't know what to do about it. And so afterwards, he started teaching me how to feel the energy by rubbing my hands together and putting them up to the sun and then trying to feel it. And then within a day or two, I started to feel this ball of energy between my hands. And so that was the beginning of my realization that yes, I had the ability to do this. And actually, my first healing session was on myself. I had a terrible stomach ache. I was in bed, and I just put my hands on my abdominal area, just sending love to myself. And the pain melted off like hot butter. I could almost feel it rolling off. And it was all over at that point. And so in so many years, I have understood deeply, and I repeat that deeply, that love, unconditional love, is the healer. There is no question in my mind. And I took a Reiki class, and I certainly suggest to people, if they want to begin their path in understanding healing energy, go ahead, take that Reiki path, but don't box yourself in. I didn't learn that way. I was, kind of on my own and had to depend on spirit coming through. I was the conduit for the energy, and I moved about according to the way I felt I needed to go in doing healing work with people. There was no protocol per se. There was no, you got to do this first and do it in that way type thing. And so I think, everybody has to find their own path and what's comfortable for them. But certainly Reiki is a path to open yourself up to begin to understand how that works. Yeah,
Definitely. That's good advice.
Yeah. And
it's definitely a good starting point.
It's definitely, together with the crystals, the stones, the aromatherapy, intention and color. One of the things I used during healing work was the violet light, and I cannot express enough how important that is in transmuting negative energy and turning it into flowing positive energy, is to visualize the healer as well as the person receiving, to visualize that violet light, because it is the transformational color for healing energy. Takes negative and changes it into positive. So that it's very important. Yeah.
Do you anticipate, as some people are feeling, as am I, that something big is about to happen on the earth?
Yes, I think we are all realizing that. And I can't tell you how many people I hear from, places living, like you walk into a grocery store and people will talk about how crazy things are. So,
oh yeah. Yeah.
All you have to do is get on the freeway and figure that one out, right?
The world is crazy right now. But there's this general feeling from a lot of people that I do readings for or talk to, that's something really, really big and life-changing is about to happen. Do you have a sense of that?
Yes, I have felt that for a long time, that we are in the middle of some sort of a major transformation on this planet. And I think it's all for the good. I can't
Mhm.
help but to think that we're going through the bad, the rough spots and all that. And then finally there will be this moment of, oh my God, thank God that's over. And we're feeling better again. We're feeling peaceful. And it's so funny. I probably shouldn't say it, but I've told Bob for many, many years now, this planet bothers me a lot. It's so violent. And I feel like I'm from the planet of peace, wherever in the heck that is in the universe. I don't know,
Yes.
but I miss it.
Yeah.
Peace
Mhm.
means so much to me. Love and peace, really. I mean, I know I sound like a hippie, but once you really begin to embrace what that means and how it can direct your life and fulfill you, I think, you
Mhm.
need to be open to, be peaceful. Don't be violent. Don't be nasty.
That
Yeah,
would be so nice if everybody would feel that way,
exactly. Yeah.
and just stop the craziness and,
Stop.
you
Be
know
nice. What?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the problem here? I mean, it's so funny because I know I'll walk through somebody's coming out and I'll open the door for them and they'll walk out and thank you very much. Nope, just keep on walking. And it's
Oh,
like,
well.
and I go out of my way to
Mhm.
thank people and to appreciate what they've done. And I keep thinking, this is going to catch on someday. I'm doing my
Yeah,
part.
yeah. We can only hope.
We can only hope. Yeah, but we're part of
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
we need to do it too.
It's kind of weird and crazy because there's a lot of negativity going on and negative attitudes and bad things happening around the world, and
Yeah,
just thinking about people driving down the street now, they're racing down the street. They're
they are.
racing to get nowhere, and
Yes,
they're putting other people's lives in danger.
exactly,
But then
exactly.
by the same token, we have all these people who they're now awake and they're aware and they think like we do. We want peace
We
and
want
harmony,
peace. Right,
and
right.
there's a lot more of that as well. So it's kind of hard to analyze all this and process it.
I agree. I agree. I try to understand it. When I see a crazy person, either in a car or a motorcycle, racing, diving in and out of traffic, I look at Bobby and I say, he's got a death wish or she's got a
Yeah,
death wish. And it's like they don't care. They don't care about themselves and they seemingly don't care about others, which is so
right.
sad. But, I think we're on the precipice of something really like everybody else. Something's happening to us to make a big change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's
It's
good.
good.
So we have something
Yeah.
good to look forward to.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Marilyn, we talked about how many different myths do you have
Right
available?
now, I make three. One is the next one was called Sacred Union,
Okay.
and it's a more earthy smell with sandalwood in it, and some other nice. There's vanilla in it, so it's a nice less flowery and rosy smelling than the Love's
Mhm.
Blessing. So it gives people a choice if they want something that has more flowery smell or not, or the more woodsy type smell, which is the Love's Essence. And then or I'm sorry, yeah, the Love's Blessing, but the Love's Essence is the one with the plumeria in it. And I, did I send you a bottle of that? Was that
Hang on. Let
yeah,
me let me just look. I have the three bottles.
the three
So I have
bottles,
the Sacred Union
right?
and this one. Can't read. I
It's
can't read it.
probably the
Hang on. I've
Love's
got Love's
Essence.
Blessing,
Yeah.
and then there's a third one here that
Yeah.
has a star on it and no
Yes.
writing.
Okay. At the bottom, it should have Love's Essence down there at the bottom, but didn't. Okay. Oh, maybe it got wiped off. Those silvery labels tend to do that.
Okay, so this
But
is
the Love's Essence with the plumeria in it.
okay.
So
I'm going
if
to
you don't
try it
mind
right now.
taking a whiff of that,
Right now.
okay.
Oh my gosh.
Uh huh.
Wow.
Uh huh.
That that just sends you to the moon.
That takes you to another
This
level.
is
That one.
awesome.
Yeah. Now it costs a little bit more. I sell it just locally, but I don't sell it on my website yet.
Well,
But
now you're gonna have to because you
I'm
just
go
told everybody about it.
they can write
You
to me directly. If they
Okay.
want to order anything, they can write me at info@lovesblessing.com, and that's the
Okay.
email address that I use for my business. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Marilyn, thank you so much for being on the
Absolutely.
program tonight with me. I just love your story, and it's awesome, and I hope you'll come back again sometime.
I would hope so. Thank you so much again, Margie, for inviting me. I really have had a wonderful time. And I hope I shared enough to make people stop and think and maybe try something new for
Yeah.
themselves, something
I think
healing.
I think you did.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, dear.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.